What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to do something a little different. It's a spoiler-free review of a new Netflix series called Archive 81. Let's check it out. So I don't know if it's just because I've been slamming movies for the last year in top of the horror movies for the whole year this past month, but I haven't really seen that much in movies that I've been super interested in watching. I have watched a couple that I just wasn't that interested to talk about. So I turned to Archive 81, which is a new Netflix series that you can watch right now, and I watched all the episodes. They're about 50 minutes long each. Archive 81 is a Netflix series that is based off of a 2016 podcast where they do sort of a found footage-y sort of style documentary of all the things that are happening in the show, but through a different lens and kind of piecing it together for the listener. So if you like storytelling that kind of comes across as real, highly recommend maybe checking that out. I haven't listened myself, but I am definitely curious. The one that I really loved is on Shudder, and it's called Video Palace, where they talk about these white tapes that they find at VHS stores, and they're supposedly very rare, and on one of them has something that's changing reality. Pretty cool, and they do a really good job of it. I highly recommend it. But back to Archive 81. So I sat down and I watched the first episode, and I thought maybe I'll just do a kind of like a review of what I think of this show so far. It is a little slow for some people, but personally for me, I was gripped from start to finish. There was a little bit of a rough patch towards the 6th and 7th episode. Probably, I think it was the 7th episode. I really enjoyed all of it, though. I had a really good time. It's essentially about an archivist who basically restores tapes and collections of film. He's hired by a man who works for a company that's very, very private and doesn't really talk about what they do. And then, of course, he is always on the lookout for random tapes in the wild that he can restore and just kind of get a piece of history and kind of restore something. And you find out that there's some things that happened in his past that made him become an archivist and a restoration kind of guy. And when he starts working for this one company, he starts to unravel some of his past, and crazy, supernatural, otherworldly things occur. Interested? I was too. The creator and producer of this show is Rebecca Sonnenschein, who has worked on shows like Outcast. She did The Boys on Amazon, and she also did The Vampire Diaries, to name a few. She also got some help from 4 different writers, I think 3 or 4 writers. One of the main writers is Helen Lee, who wrote Outcast. She did a lot of episodes on that. Some of the directors that are in this TV show, because they switch out the directors for each episode and kind of do different things for them. We got Rebecca Thomas, Haifa Al-Mansour, Justin Benson, and Aaron Moorhead, which, if you're not familiar, they're the guys that did Resolution, The Endless, Spring. They're working on Moon Knight, a couple episodes on that, and they did the movie Synchronic, which I have right up here. So if you're a fan of them, which I am a big fan of their work, they do a lot of really mysterious stuff, and this is perfectly well suited for their style and their directorial efforts that they've done. I love these guys. Some of the cast that we have in the show is Mamadou Athie, who has been in Underwater, The Circle. He also did Black Box, which I think was an Amazon film from last year. Dina Shahabi, who is also in Daredevil, Altered Carbon. We also have Martin Donovan, who is in Tenet, Weeds. He was a big part in that. He was also in Come to Daddy for a pretty hilarious role involving poop. If you've seen that, you know what I'm talking about. Poop in a pen, let's put it that way. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this. This was a really good show that has very great acting, a lot of really good atmospheric kind of filmmaking styles. They go through the gamut of different types of shots, as well as the music that's created for this is very good. Ben Salisbury and of course Jeff Barrow did the music in this. Now, if you're familiar with them, you know they've done stuff for Black Mirror, and they've done stuff for Annihilation, which is fantastic fucking work. let me tell you. So I may even just check out the soundtrack just to listen to it. It's outstanding, and it really complements the show in giving that sort of otherworldly eeriness to it. And as this guy kind of starts to restore these films for this other company, things get progressively worse, weirder, stranger, and it becomes something that is just out of this world, and it's pretty fun. Like, it's not a funny movie, it's just very thrilling, and it's the mystery in it is just so gripping that I think that a lot of people will really enjoy this. It may be a little slow for some people, but I honestly don't think it's that bad. I think it's perfectly paced. I think it does a really good job of bringing you into this world and making you ask a ton of questions, which is good because they all get answered by the end, and the end is actually, I thought was going to be predictable, but ended up being more than I expected. So it kind of lands the dismount on top of it. This is a solid show. They only planned on doing this one mini-series, but man, I would love to see more if we could in the future, and maybe we will in the future. There's pieces of it that remind me of the show called The Dark on Netflix as well. It has like 3 or 4 seasons. That's one of the like most elaborate time travel stories that it is very hard to pick up where you left off because it is just so deep. And there's wires and shit going everywhere. But if you liked that, you might like this. If you like Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson's stuff, I think this is a perfect fit for it, specifically the Endless or Resolution. It's got a really high concept that works into a story with a bunch of really interesting characters who all kind of bounce off each other as this sort of mystery unfolds. And I think they did a really good job on it. And I could probably give it even more. Like, it's almost like an 8.5 out of 10. But it's at least a solid 8. And I would love to see more in the future. It's not 100% what I would want to see, but they did some really cool things, and I really appreciated the kind of efforts that they put forth just from a podcast. So, hey, if you guys are looking for shows, we got a podcast, and we make up our own movies on the podcast. So, producers, if you're looking for more content, you know, I don't know where to look, but maybe somewhere close. Anyway, guys, I hope you check it out if you haven't already. If you did already, actually, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did it fall short? Did you like it? Did you love it? I mean, what do you think about this show, and are you going to check it out? Netflix has another series that I want to watch that's from either Argentina or Spain, but I want to check that one out too, so I might be doing that as a sort of a spoiler-free review for you guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear that from you. But thank you guys so much for coming by. I hope this helps us get by till we get some really meaty movies out there. They're coming, and I just got word from one of the movie companies, the distribution companies, that they put me on the list, so we're gonna be seeing some stuff soon that I'm really excited about, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, and as always, long live the void.